Welcome back, friends and scoundrels. I am Bran,
And I am not Bran.
and today we're gonna talk about saltberry.
That was
I couldn't help
that
it.
was,
I've been sitting on that all day,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
knew it was gonna be stupid and cheesy, and
Yeah,
I
it was
did
good.
it anyways.
How long do I...
All right. Anyway, so today we're talking about salt, and also mostly sodium. Really, that's the point of salt, is to get the sodium. So.
Yeah. I mean,
Because that's what your body needs. It also needs the chlorine. But that's for another part. So, side dish where we talk about individual little foods and other things as they come down the line. To shorten it up and focus a little bit more. But one of the main reasons why we want to talk about salt is because we understand its use a lot better. We understand its use and purpose a lot better, and the effects that it actually has on the body. Right, Barry?
more or less, I mean, I'm not shit set. I can't say 100% that, but...
Well, I know I'm 39, and I know this information's changed at least twice.
Well, yes and
in
no.
my
Right?
lifetime.
Like, we've had an idea of it, but there's always been like the misconception of this or that, or different elements
well,
in conjunction with. So the salt, for like a long time, the military is, this, like how do you rehydrate a soldier on the field, right? You want to dehydrate.
We didn't have to worry about that.
Okay. Well, salt water. There's extreme conditions. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it too. Is like in some areas, this information says one thing, like general health says don't consume a lot of salt, period, or sodium.
Yes.
But then you have other areas, people that are world class athletes and stuff that are like, no, you need salt and stuff in your body.
Yeah, and as things have become more clear, a lot of boogeyman ideals have been dispelled more, and the information has been
being dispelled, but on the larger zeitgeist, if you will, as far as doctors are still concerned, most of them are still prescribing not a lot of sodium. And I'm not going to necessarily say they're wrong, because there is, just like with sugar, a lot of hidden sodium in a lot of the processed foods that people are consuming. So
you're not wrong about that. Yeah, it's and this is I guess again, this gives you another extra reason if you want take a little more charge of your life and control what's coming in and out of your body. There's just another reason to not get those processed foods, those bought, those horrible, easy, convenient
processed products.
Processed products. Thank you. Yeah,
because it's not food.
That's right. Tell them, Brad.
Yeah, so that's why we're talking about salt today, to kind of help bring, not that we're necessarily bringing anything new, but maybe we can reach people in a different way, because we're different people.
Yeah, and like a lot of it, of what we talk about, right? Mm-hmm. We're just two common goofs, and so we're here just trying to break down some of those. What's the word I'm looking for? Myths. I guess I can say that myths is one way to put it.
Myths is a good way to put it.
And it's good again, like
well, if we can understand this,
yeah, that's the point. Like,
and then
rockheads like us can get this.
Speak for yourself.
If rockheads like Bran,
I'm like the grinding stone, right? You throw your wheat seeds in there and you grind it down, and it becomes this thing. Yeah,
I don't even know what the fuck you just say.
Pride myself on my ability to
go
on. Process information and
myself,
send it out there in a way that most people will understand.
That's good. I pride myself on being an amazing pirate, okay? But you don't see many pirate ships around anymore. Trust me.
Piracy's just changed, Barry. Changed with the times.
Bran, stop making excuses.
Stop working on 100-year-old ideas.
This is not the old way, is the best way, Bran.
Actually, we're like 150-year-old ideas now.
Yes. No, longer than that.
You're also in the wrong area for piracy.
What are you talking about, man?
You need to go to Somalia.
What are you talking, dude? You cannot hunt or kill whales in Nebraska. So clearly, at one point, whales were abundant here.
Have you ever been to the monument?
That monument?
Yes.
Like the monument?
Bluff.
Yeah.
And gone up the path and.
Oh yeah, many times. I've ran that. One time when it
Have you
flooded
actually paid attention?
all the way up to it.
It's like you got some of the like caves and stuff.
Oh yeah.
All the shellfish and stuff that are fossils that are embedded in it.
I didn't see those.
Yeah.
Are you lying to me?
No.
I think you're. As a person who's never actually seen a shellfish, you're probably like this. Like, oh, that's a shellfish. And it's really like a leaf. It's a petrified leaf.
Are you telling my teachers lied to me?
Yeah.
Anyways, so there are a couple things to be aware of with sodium intake.
Lies of teachers.
If you're already in a bad place with your heart and kidney health, you do need to regulate a lot more than others do.
Well, like
because it can cause spikes in your blood pressure.
Well, hypertension, right?
Yeah.
Are you hypertensive? Are you pre-hypertensive? You know.
Or hypotensive, where you've got low blood pressure.
Yeah. It affects. Yeah. You know.
So
normal blood pressure is always good.
It does have an effect on your blood pressure. Is the point there? So if you're already in a bad place, you do need to be conscious of it. But if you're following our previous episodes, you're working on that.
Yep. Yeah, and like again. So, I think Bran was mentioning earlier to me that always starting small is a good way, and it's a way to actually build up to where you're learning and applying what you've learned. So, all of these things that we BS about and talk about and we care about, please, baby steps. It's a funny thing, it's a cliche, but really it is legit.
And the things that we've been talking about specifically, there's two aspects to it. With change, that if you change too many things all at once and you're having a problem with it, then it's difficult to tell where the problem's actually coming from.
Right.
Two, if you're changing too much all at once and your body's not conditioned for it, which most of us probably isn't. I mean, even healthy people, if you change too much all at once, it's still overwhelming for the body.
Your body.
And you can actually kill yourself by doing this. So, at the worst, most people are not going to kill themselves changing too much, but it can have some drastic effects on your body.
What can happen in my experience, a lot of people will get the whiplash, right? You change too much, you'll get the whiplash. And you don't know what it could be from, but whatever it was not a good experience. And so what does that create in your mind? It creates a negative, this negative notion, a negative learning process of going this way. Well, I tried that, it went like shit. I felt horrible.
Yeah.
So
you end up not following on your path.
Yeah, it sends you way off, right?
But it's also overwhelming, which also has the same effect.
Yeah, it's a domino effect of things that are negative that can compound and just keep on going. So starting one thing at a time, applying even if you do go multiple things, like more than one, try small. Always go small. Like I still I only toss a few rocks in my water of salt, little tiny things every other day maybe, and stir it up.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling like we're having the summers, right, and I feel like I am extra dehydrated, like I can feel weird cramps and stuff going on. My hamstrings are cramping up. Maybe more that day, but it's a rare occurrence. Of course, I'm not like I do not run every day, so there's that. I do work out every day more or less, so I do get some cardio and whatever, but. Yeah.
And again, with the regulation, a little bit more is that, again, too much can have adverse effects, but so can too little, which is where we're at right now for a lot of people.
Yeah,
They're
too little is a cause of a lot of things nowadays. What's the word?
Sodium deficient.
Yes, sodium deficient. Very good, thank you.
Because the recommended levels from the quote-unquote experts are usually too low.
Yep. And that comes as a that was the price we paid as a culture for our food.
Well, this before a lot of that though too. This goes back to when a lot of the processed foods started coming on.
That's what I'm saying.
Before that, even they're looking at the lot of the studies that they ran for sodium and salt intake. They would see this spike in increased blood pressure and just run off that. They didn't do any long-term effect studies. They just did Oh, when you
Oh, so you're
consume
saying,
salt,
well, it's gonna,
you get
yes,
this huge
but
spike real quick.
but the spike, yeah, that spike may be real, right? It's like
It is
it's
real.
like cholesterol, right? So it's like cholesterol, but in conjunction with that, the other bad, unhealthy things
Yeah.
that you have to worry about are
And-
not active in the body at that point.
And especially the more modern ones are not taking into account for overall diet.
Right.
So we're not.
That's the sugar. Just that same
Yeah.
thing with sugar you run into when you look at the studies.
So
For sure.
so they're not controlling for this either, which it's very difficult to control for people's diets. So it's hard to get accurate information on that. There was one gentleman who did have, and I'll link that below because it was a really interesting talk that he had, where they had a controlled environment with some astronauts and gave them high sodium, and I don't remember all of it because it's been a while since I watched it.
Yep.
But there were some interesting effects that a continual high level, like really high level sodium, can be pretty bad for you.
Well,
But I mean that's everything.
yes. I mean, I'm sorry, but
moderation is real. People exercise.
I mean, too much of anything is it cliche as can be, man. It's true, right? Like the human body, and of course it depends, right? Every human body depends differently because of your weight. There are measurements within these weight classes and your height class and all that stuff. But yes, too much salt, too much even, and like there are like certain things like for athletes that take protein, right? There's actually a point, again, by your measurements, where the protein starts to not do anything, and within your body it starts to convert this to sugars and carbs because you've taken too much past a certain limit. So there's going to be too much sodium, especially with such a.
But I mean, it's everything. I mean, if you eat too many beans or spinach, like it's going to have negative effects because your body's.
Well, if you it depends. Like again, like when we say too, like, the idea is too much, which means you have to take away something else, right? So in conjunction, you're not getting something, and so you're getting too much of the greens and the acidic properties from that stuff. So I mean, it can give you real bad. Imagine pretty bad gas and whatever else. But yeah. So
man, there was something I was gonna make a note for, and I forgot.
So one thing I know. Did you want to go on to positives, negatives? How do you have it laid?
The other aspect of this, the other thing that you should be aware of, is that there's two other minerals, right, or vitamins that go along with sodium that are very important. They're part of the electrolyte
Yes.
medium, if you will, and that's potassium and magnesium. You need a balance of these three things in accordance with your water.
Yeah. Yeah. When we talk about like good minerals within your drinking water, like that's kind of like those three are the things that make up healthy, good drinking water.
Well, and that's
and it's something like we like people are like, oh, Gatorade, oh, this Aquafina.
Well,
I'm joking, but
no, Gatorade's a great example.
Yeah,
and that'll go into our next side one.
Yeah. It's there are certain minerals that are missing, and they were replaced by bad
synthetic. They're replaced. Some of them are replaced by synthetics of those minerals.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I guess Barry brought up a good point about being conscious of the salts that you're consuming too.
Yeah.
That is something else that's also important to be aware of, because everybody's aware of your common tabletop salt.
Yep.
That is infused with iodine. There's various kinds of sea salt that we see marketed.
Sea salt
kosher salt.
Yes.
Now, as you've pointed out before, some of these are bleached.
Yeah, and often.
I don't know much about that, so that's all in your wheelhouse.
So things that you want to avoid with, let's just say, common tabletop salts, that's probably most common, honestly, is the bleaching.
Which you're not going to be not on the package anywhere, as far as I know.
It's not. I don't think that. It's part of the cleansing process.
Yeah.
Often have sugar within them. It's within the granule.
The thing I've noticed with a lot of these salts, the popular ones,
Mhm.
which is your table salt, your kosher salt.
Right.
A lot of them have anti-binding agents in them. That's a lot of stuff that you want to actually
Right.
avoid.
That's where it has. That's the next thing I was going to say. It has aluminum also often in it, which is like we need minerals, but aluminum is toxic to the brain, so
Yeah,
it's not something you
aluminum's
really
bad.
want to. And no trace minerals, which are the ones you just talked about with the sodium and normal
Not
trace
sodium.
minerals.
It's like benzyl
Well, no, I mean like the normal
sulfate or something
yeah,
like
no,
that.
I'm saying normal trace minerals you want within
Yeah.
your water, which is actually good. The minerals.
Well, and that. Be aware of where your sea salt is being.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to talk about. Because often,
It comes from.
yeah, because often, unfortunately, it's the way just through practice, I guess, or just the way it's broken down. Often, sea salt has what becomes microplastics left in it.
Yeah, where it's sourced from.
Yeah.
So, if it's from the Pacific Ocean or any modern oceans, probably want to avoid it because it's got those microplastics from all of our pollution and other chemicals and whatever else ingrained into the salt.
And you could say like okay, so what? I don't know about this, but that stuff causes so inflammation. 99%, well, 99%. I don't know what the percentage is, but most of the common diseases, and many doctors who are pushing along the blazing the trails will talk about inflammation is a huge cause of all the modern diseases, right?
Yeah, the vast majority of
If
them.
not the one. So
It is the greatest underlying cause of most of our modern.
So that's why
problems.
the microplastics they lead to that. They don't break down your body, don't break down the system, and they just wreak havoc on your system, causing inflammation.
The reason why the inflammation is such a bad thing is because we're consuming and ingesting so many things that our body can't handle and process, so it's reacting to it, causing this chronic inflammation.
Yeah, chronic inflammation. What happens with that is it sends off like your body's constantly trying to fight it, and that inherently causes other things with our bodies.
But because your body is trying to fight it, it doesn't give it room to fight other things, like when you get a cold or the flu,
and it's twofold because
or pull a muscle or whatever.
Yeah, it's the simple thing like small tendinitis, things like that, right? But also it's twofold because chronic inflammation often, as we're discovering, can lead to, that's the source of where your cancer started too, or wherever else. It will, because it's just a buildup of white blood cells that are trying to fight this, or where our body's trying to fight this. And there's nothing really to fight there, per se. It's the irritation and inflammation of whatever the source is. And we keep on, behind the scenes, adding to it. So
just be mindful of where it's...
Yeah.
You want sea salt.
If you can. avoid... You don't have to get sea salt. You can just get the pink Himalayan salt, or
that's a sea salt, though.
Yeah, you can get it. You want to make sure it's off of some reef or something like that, right? And that's why it costs more. Or there are other places.
Because the pink Himalayan sea salt actually should be sourced from Pakistan,
right? And there was reefs off of.
Or is it Afghanistan? Definitely Pakistan. I think there's some in Afghanistan too.
Okay.
But yeah, just being mindful. There are some of the more modern oceans that aren't as bad. Yeah. I don't know what those are specifically off the top of my head, but I know some of them have lower pollution levels than
there are some others. I can't remember which reef it was. I want to say one around Australia.
What are you talking about, Barry? Let it go.
What?
Don't make that joke. Moving on.
Horrible, man.
So yeah, just be mindful of where your stuff's sourced from. But also, the sea salt's going to be more likely to have the additional trace minerals that your body needs in very, very small quantities, but we do still need them.
Yeah. And so the simplest would be like pink salt, good. White salt, not so good. Because, any of the rock salt you get, again, like most of it, if it's white, it's been bleached. And that there's a
not necessarily.
Right.
There is
clean. Yeah, there is but it's more clear. Like it's.
Because I think some of the Mediterranean sea salts aren't bad, and those are white.
The salt that I have in that bag there, right? Like there's pink rocks, and there's clearer rocks.
What else is there? There's the black salt.
Really?
Yeah. It's higher in sulfur.
Okay.
So if you're a person that doesn't like a lot of salty taste on your eggs, it's a good option.
That's interesting. I'm not aware of that.
I need to
Nice
look
work.
into it a little bit more, but I'd probably say if you want large quantities of just salt, canning salt is a great option too, because it has to fit very specific needs, so it can't have all the extra crap.
Okay.
Like it doesn't have the anti-clumping agent in it, so because that will mess with the canning process.
There's something about canning salt I can't remember what it was not.
Because I actually am looking into getting some of that, because I need to tan my rabbit first.
There you go.
Okay, is that all the things that we need to be aware of now, Barry?
Yeah, more
Can
or
we
less.
move on to the good stuff?
Okay, what are a few things that salt helps with?
So, helps with the immune system.
And through hydrochloric acids.
Yes. So, sodium is sodium nitrate, or salt is made up of sodium nitrate.
Correct.
No, sodium chloride.
Sodium chloric acid, so sodium chloride.
So, you have hydrochloric acid in your stomach,
Yes. So,
and the salt breaks down, and the sodium goes one way, and the chlorine helps make the hydrochloric acid.
Yeah, so the hydrochloric acid, occurs. It helps kill the bad bacteria in our stomachs, right?
Mhm.
That's
And it's also helping with your digestion.
which
as well.
which in turn helps with your digestion. Yes, absolutely. So one of the biggest things also like salt, like when you feel, this is something we probably didn't touch on, when you feel not just dehydrated, but when you feel low energy, salt. I should have written this down, but salt helps to regulate and give energy by sodium potassium pump, which is a protein found in all animals, right? So
Okay.
it actually breaks it down, and the main function of this pump, which is within again the proteins, or is a protein, resides in a membrane that is surrounding living cells and helps move the potassium and sodium ions across all the membranes, restoring all the concentration. You're burning these things, right? You're burning all your energy, and restores their to restore their concentration inside and outside the cell. So 25% of the body's energy is used to actually keep that pump going. So that is why it's important. So you're no matter what, burning. That pump is burning.
That's a
energy.
great indicator of how important sodium is.
Yes.
That because it's just like a little tiny thing, like
Yes.
smaller than
It's
a walnut or
tiny
whatever.
little
Isn't it?
protein. It's
This is
So
a little
it's-
tiny
so-
gland that processes.
Yeah, the pump is going and rising. It says.
And it uses a ton of your energy.
Yeah, so it works. It says going and rising to nearly 70% of the brain. So a lot of function that the energy comes from when you are. And I know there's a few other things of glands that it helps regulate also just by.
Well,
this is
it's-
science thing that this is the science stuff that I'm not really expert in.
We'll
I'm
get
not
into it in a
reading
moment.
about it,
Because
Right. So the most important thing about this also is that problems that mess with the pump. So this helps keep the sodium potassium pump going. Right. It's found in all animals. Well, things that sidetrack the pump and also that have been linked to several disorders. And this is again how we find the more common things such as heart. So heart, kidney, and metabolic diseases, as well as neurological conditions. So all the major things that we, find common in people who have low sodium and low intake of healthy salts. I should say, I guess, if that's
sodium
part of
deficiency.
sodium deficiency is part of the healthy part of salt. It's a part of your missing from your diet. It's been linked to. So just making sure that's another reason to try to. The way that the science actually works and the way that your body works. Again, complications, of course, from the wrong diets and the wrong application of salt, but this is how and why it works. And why it's important.
Are you going off your notes right now?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Because
like you said, a lot of our notes are the same. They're
Okay.
just in a different
yeah,
order.
sorry, yeah.
So-
okay.
I want to go back to the immune thing
Go for
real
it, go
quick.
for it.
Because I know for me, and when I'm sick, I crave salty things. Usually potato chips.
God love them potato chips.
Usually potato chips. Now that is something that my mom did for me when I was younger,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's a part of it too, I'm sure.
Well, most people back in the day, right, was
But-
eating crackers, right? In soup.
Yeah. And soup is often high in sodium as well.
Yes.
So I don't know where my mom got that from, but it also
Probably
made me
soups.
think. Stop distracting me. There was another point that I had, but and this is something I want to talk about sometime in a little bit greater depth, is that pay attention to your body's cravings.
Yeah.
Because that's your body telling you exactly what you need.
Yeah. If you're craving blood,
Most
you're a
of the
vampire. Pay attention to that.
Sometimes you're craving things because of a psychological attachment, like those processed foods.
Yeah, habit forming foods. You
Yeah.
know, what you crave. So what you are craving when you're tired or already hungry, like you've gone past where you usually eat or where what you're used to, you'll be craving things that just sound good to you. When you are
Yeah.
tired, you'll crave things that just sound good and easy to you.
Yeah.
So be
And a
careful.
lot of these foods make us tired, so
Yeah.
the processed crap.
Yeah, heavy in carbs and sludge, let's say. Sludge.
You've kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's helps with the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the electrolytes come in. So we think about water and its relationship with electricity. Plain water on its own usually isn't a very good conductor, but if it's salt water, it is a good conductor.
In our blood, our body is water.
And those are in our nervous system. That's all electrical
Yes,
impulses
electrical impulses.
moving
Yes.
from one spike to another. But through that improved nervous system, you do get an improved heart function, less cramps, better brain function, and just overall should be better. That's probably where a lot of the extra energy comes from.
This is
and the retention of hydration is probably where some of the energy comes from
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. This is why a lot of things, and you'll find, right, as we find and anyone finds when you come across stuff as far as nutrition and eating and habits and all that stuff is, unfortunately, the people who don't like to eat early in the morning, this is why, regardless, a lot of people who study this stuff and say, it's in your system semi-early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Along with your glass of water, whatever, get in your body early in the morning from when you wake up, so it can take effect throughout the day. Because if you drink this stuff, or if you I don't get into my routine until 4 hours after I'm up.
Yeah.
You've spent 4 hours of your day, right? Your hours and your energy is finite. You're not gonna have it forever. So within that 24-hour cycle. So you have to, make sure that this is, get into your process of the day so it can help you the most. You can get the most return out of it also.
Yeah.
So when we talk about don't dive into it all right away, take it easy, go slow, sprinkle a few or whatever salt you have in your drink, stir it up. And early in the morning, when you're having that good, refreshing cold water.
Or some other things like nuts are great. A lot of nuts also have potassium and magnesium in them, and most of them are just salted.
Yeah, in conjunction. Well, and
So
often
you're
that
getting-
salt, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to where you're getting the nuts from the salt from.
Yeah.
I will, me, I will salt my own stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you can buy it. It is
But-
pricey as a mother.
Still, you're getting the things that you need.
Well, not if it's bad salt we just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, Brad's
No,
clue. Brad's hypocrisy. Don't listen to us. Buy the trash.
Some people have to buy what they can, Barry.
Well, okay, you can't say that and then say, okay, this stuff's bad, don't buy it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to juggle in our world.
Well,
It's a very difficult
that's-
thing to
that's
juggle
why,
in our
That's why
world.
we're talking about, absolutely, right? So, but if you really do key on it, if I hear us say, okay, you have
'Cause-
it's all about measurement and energy.
Realistically, most things, even the things that we consider good that have salt in them, are probably using the cheapest salt they can get.
That's why you don't buy the salty stuff. That's why you try to avoid it, unless you know. Like, this is why, you don't want to put the tinfoil hat on too often. But unless you know that individual, you're buying the salt or the salted peanuts from, let's say. I really avoid that stuff, and it doesn't take me 15 minutes out of my day to toss the almonds or whatever into the little micro oven here and salt them.
Yeah.
Doesn't take me too long. maybe it's a little inconvenience, and sometimes that's no salt. Fine, no salt.
But you're still getting the other stuff, and there's ways to get it.
Yeah, you're still getting you're still getting good nutrients from the and one thing is often is well, you can find new ways to do things. I mean, tossing whatever nut you want into your oven and putting butter on it is a faster way to sprinkle salt on it, right? Oven baking usually takes a long time for the salt to really stick to it, but some butter, depending on where your health is, it's good to go. So we don't. Yes, I mean, I want to be practical as I can, right?
Yes.
I love to cut corners as much as I can. I want to break every effing rule, but breaking every effing rule is what got me into trouble in the first place.
I know. But I am also aware, especially being very much aware of the decisions that people have to make sometimes.
Yeah. No, there takes
the amounts of stuff that you're getting from the salt vat, especially when it's mixed with other things, are very tiny. Can they build up over time? Yes. So
it's
having that awareness
it's
helps you make decisions.
Yeah, it's so going back to where you get salt from.
It's a matter of, do the goods outweigh the bads to a degree.
Well, to me, it's more
because if your gut biome is healthy, it's going to get rid of that bad stuff a lot quicker than
right.
If
but we're
it's
talking
not.
about getting there to that point, right? Most of us, right? We're on that. We're trying to maintain that path. So every little win you can, because most of the time we're not going to get those. It's just the way it adds up.
So,
right.
Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
Find things that have salt in them too, and different ways to get salt into your system. Whether it's your eggs or cucumber and salt, or whatever. A lot of people do that. There's multiple ways. Whatever ways work best for you.
It'd be sodium. Like, look up. What is high in a healthy, in sodium, and consume that.
Yes.
If you're concerned about, you don't know what type of salt to get, I would recommend, just start with the pink and then learn from there.
And to touch on the costing a little bit, yes, the pink Himalayan salt is more expensive, but also consider how frequently you buy these things.
Yes.
That's something that I've had to juggle with. The things that I don't replenish frequently, like every once a quarter maybe, I'll spend the extra money on those things because I know that it goes further and it's better.
And again, we're saying salt a lot, but we're saying sodium, right?
I covered that.
Yeah, I know. I won't come back to it because I was going to say what Bran said, I should say. But also like fruit, vegetables, organic. I hate to say that.
Mostly vegetables.
Yeah, mostly vegetables also have good sodium levels, right? You can get sodium from these
Bacon.
things. Bacon. Yeah.
A lot of fishes.
Yeah, a lot of fishes. And again, look up
and
take some time to look up because I don't have any list of.
I'm gonna be the guy right now.
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna recommend fruit.
Okay.
I'm actually getting off fruit myself.
All right, good. That's all right. So here's the thing with me and fruit. I went for 2 years without fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But fruit, especially if you can get it from organic or get it from neighbors. I'd rather have that, which I still do every once in a while. But I'd rather have that than donuts.
Yeah.
Or a Blizzard or whatever else that floats your boat that has that sugar in it.
Okay. Let's move on though. Helps make you more insulin resistant.
Yeah.
I didn't get a whole lot of details on that, but it makes sense. Because salt is kind of the counter to sugar.
Is it?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Is this a savory and sweet thing?
Yeah.
So, we all like a good
Kinda.
sweet and sour chicken.
This thing's very tricky.
Yeah, have you had some bad experiences with sweet and sour chicken?
No. Actually, Huberman's episode on salt, he talked about that. Why combining those two things
it's a counteractive.
Is bad because they counteract each other and then it makes you want more.
Yeah. So yeah. And
so then you're getting a ton of extra sugar and you're getting a ton of extra sodium.
It keeps the cycle going, and that's why it's actually sold together often.
Which
right?
is one of the reasons why fruit's not that good for you.
No.
Anyways,
that's not. Okay. What?
I mentioned this a little bit. Helps you maintain your hydration levels because water follows salt, and your body. We probably should have talked about this earlier, but your body actually has its own mechanisms for maintaining the level of sodium that it wants. So, to a degree, when you increase your sodium intake, when it's time to replenish that, your body will deplete sodium through urination and sweating and whatever to make room for that new salt coming in if you regularly consume extra at specific points in the day. And like the body's great about this. It really knows what it's doing. I mean, they're talking about millions of years of evolution.
Well, yeah, like that's what when you get off
that
track,
we've managed to screw up in
yeah.
4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, you know, it's money. It's funny. Sorry, it's a Freudian slip right there.
But because it's doing this, if you increase your salt intake, it's also smart to increase your water intake with it because otherwise your body's just going to try to flush that salt out. And the water will stick with the salt as much as it can. Any excess water that you have, the body will get rid of. And the same with salt.
And the reason, like, so going back to like, you know, savory versus sweet. So I say fruit because fruit does have that sodium in it. But unless you're aiming at ketosis, where are you getting your sugars from, right?
Yeah.
Besides other, you know, you're getting from carb products.
Honey.
Well, not everyone's going to eat honey 24/7. You know, where are you going to put your honey in? Bread?
Coffee, tea.
But you put honey in coffee?
No. I've
sure?
seen it. I've seen it recommended.
Sure? Yeah.
I've seen it recommended.
Have you tried it?
No.
I wouldn't recommend it. No, there are, you know what, actually honey mixed up.
I've seen it recommended with the butter coffee.
Okay, yes. Honey, I was going to say honey and butter mixed up is decent. Honey and coconut milk mixed up can do it a few things. There's multiple things in conjunction. Mm-hmm. But as far as like, unless if you want to be as healthy as you can be, but you still get your sugars, natural fruits.
But we're not talking about sugars today.
No, we're not. We're talking about sodium, which is actually fruit.
Helps maintain your pH levels in your body. This goes back to the digestion thing and the immune creation of more hydrochloric acid to break things down.
Yeah.
Get rid of things that you don't want.
And that's in the body. That's the gut. That's one of the things. You know, gut health is something you're going to hear a lot about or hear a lot of, and the sodium and all of that breaks it down and helps a lot. So
I think that might have been part of my problem last week too. I don't think I was taking as much sodium as I had been.
It's possible. I mean, when you're changing your diet, right? You're just going to miss
last week went to crap real quick, and I just forgot. Because I would take it right before going to do things. That way I wouldn't sweat as much.
Yeah.
It helps reduce the production of the stress hormones. As a result of that, it also helps with your sleep better because you aren't in the fight, flight, freak out, and freeze mode. And
that, I sure wrote down a scientific reason as to why it goes. Because there's a breakdown of a few things that actually, a few different doctors I follow, Huberman and what's his name? Peter Attia. Huberman had him on, but I've been following for years since he was on Jonko.
Yeah.
But he's amazing. But yeah, but I don't have that on me right now.
Secondary on that also is that it helps reduce anxiety and other stress-related symptoms. Right. So that also goes back into your inflammation.
Well, yeah, like in like an organic way, also thing, like which is it kind of goes back to the sweet and sour thing, but salt also has a immediate satiating effect on our appetite.
It can.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I was doing the salt water. Mm-hmm. Is also fasting in the mornings.
Okay.
So that's usually when I drink it. Mm-hmm. Try to reduce my cravings for food in general.
I think just my experience, you know, I think salt in the morning, salt water in the morning. You know, I do glasses, and you know, you're supposed to get quite a bit. You're supposed to get, you know, something like 24 ounces at least in the morning.
Sorry,
water. And if I can make on top of that another 6 ounces, good glass with a couple of rocks in it.
That's the other thing too. I didn't walk as much last week. so I wasn't getting that sun in my eyes.
That's big time.
So again, there's that
It was
thing
a rough
of
week for you.
well, it's that thing of a lot of things changed for me in that small week,
Well, the domino effect, right?
and there's probably a domino effect because I missed a couple things. Everything else fell too.
Especially when you're trying to make habits.
But because there were so many different things, I can't focus in on what it was why I was so tired last
You're
week.
trying to balance it, and you're trying, you're going through changes. That's why it's so like when you have, and people get into this, and they'll say, well, that's why you have a doctor or a coach, right? Because there are doctors that are on this path. Right?
Yes, there's a lot of doctors.
Clearly,
I wish there were
professors-
more.
Yeah, I mean, as it grows, as science takes hold, we've been through rough patch of science the last few years. But
Well, let's be real.
Joke.
We all like to think of doctors as these, more than human people, but
Well,
we need to stop pretending that because they are people, and the vast majority of them are just following orders.
yeah.
They're just following their training and
archaic training at this point. And I am not riffing on doctors at all. Doctors,
I am.
Save lives constantly, but
But they're also recommending a lot of things
There's a
that
whole,
continue
yes.
the system.
Yes, they're
And
doing
it's
their job, and it is a lot of
Not a
right
malicious
also.
thing, but they're also
Yeah.
these people are also the ones that tell you you're a quack if you say something that goes outside of the accepted norm,
Yes.
which I get.
Well, no,
But-
there's an argument for all things, but you have to really slow down, decompress, get away from the situation, right?
Mhm.
And say, okay, look at yourself. I'm being responsible, and ask questions. If the doctor tells you something, it doesn't hurt to go out there and research more, things. And if the doctor doesn't like that, and you still
Find a
feel,
new doctor.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Be mature. The doctor has to accept.
Doctors are like your
Yes.
friends.
Yeah.
If your doctor is going to tell you not to do something that
Wow,
you
we're
should
over
be
there.
doing,
Yeah.
you don't need them in your life.
Oh man, he's getting
Go
deep
find
on us.
another doctor.
And there's some friendship. Should we talk about this?
We'll talk about it after the recording. And that's it, folks.
Gosh. All right.
The other great thing about salt is that it enhances your other flavors,
It's true.
which is also
Which is
important
funny.
because that helps with that craving element. Because it
the funniest
points out
experience-
those things that your body wants, and it helps you identify those things better.
Completely true. It's fun. It's hilarious when you. And this is why It's. I'm sorry if I sound like a robot, but I recommend. That's why I recommend cutting so much that you can when you choose to start eating this way. When you choose to start looking at this thing and say, okay, that's not adding up. That's not adding up. I need to change something. This isn't working for me. So when I say cut back, go back to zero, because you need to find your zero. And if you don't go back to a very, very strict diet, you won't know what. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a very strict diet. Just hear me out.
Mm.
And I'm going to, start introducing new things back into my diet. So I write down 1 week, there's my board for what I'm going to have, my chalkboard.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start having these things. Well, I'm having an irritable stomach. Is there a reason for that stuff? Okay, I'm not going to have that next week. It's a simple scientific method.
Yeah.
But it's very important when you do this. I know that it sounds trite and just a hassle, but past the age of 30, 32, it becomes important because on the average, 90% of us eat like trash.
It's important before that, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying because most of our audience isn't going to be kids.
No, but many of them are probably people who are going to have kids.
Yeah.
And you don't want to ruin your kids before.
That's true. Yeah, I'm just saying that the reason is. Right?
Yeah.
We've already done that damage, and so we're trying to really cut back and just limit. So I'm saying I know it's difficult, but I am a complete believer in cut to zero and then go forward. It doesn't work for everybody. I know that.
That's a hard thing to do.
It is. And honestly, it's easier. It's easier when you have a partner. Now, it depends on what you have to. And again, that's here nor it's here or there also, right? So like you and Lynn, you guys have you're on the same path, right? You're making the same choices also, right?
Yeah, she's along for my crazy journey. as she calls it.
handle that? How does she handle
For the most part, she does okay.
Yeah.
She does as well as I do.
it? Okay.
Hers is a lot more of a choice sometimes than mine is, but
That's smart. I know. 'Cause I know. I've had a lot of friends that have done this, and they can stick with it. And it's because of one other. People who are couples.
well, and a lot of times as you get more comfortable with it, especially if you're taking things slowly, you're introducing one thing but taking out another.
Yeah.
A lot of times, so that makes it a lot easier too.
Yeah, finding
And that's your
finding that get for your like Reese's Pieces or your the convenience, right? We just talked about when you're tired, you're gonna go for something that's what convenience or tasty or whatever it might be. Right? There are things that happen throughout our day, and again, as the cycle does in our lives, low energy, why low energy? Shit habits, shit food, all that stuff, right? So it's a simple cycle that happens throughout our days, and then weeks, and then months. And breaking that is where your willpower really comes into play. It's so funny to hear me say this stuff because, man, I'm not the guy that wanted this, 20 years ago. This way, I want to I want to be cool and coasty stuff, and I want to eat whatever I want to eat.
well, and
Guess what? That doesn't work out.
20 years ago, a lot of the information that we're talking about now, you were a conspiracy theorist if you talked about
Yes,
it, and you were a kook.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying you're
So
not true,
this
but
information wasn't as readily available.
But also, we still knew that eat your greens, kids, right? Like we said, like there was the attachment, right? There was a break in the understanding as to why, right? There wasn't the clear line had not been drawn from one point to another.
Yeah.
And this is why this is what happens to your body.
I'm gonna be the guy. Real quick, we're gonna go Jurassic Park here.
Shit.
That we have allowed science to overtake so much of our life that we've forgotten the things that we just naturally know.
Well, it's pseudoscience also. We've allowed manipulation of science, right?
And that's part of it coming up because of the corruption
that's corruption
in the
right?
systems.
Yeah,
That's a byproduct of things more than
it is. But that's still the part. Like that is the devil, right? That's the devil convincing everyone it doesn't exist, if you will.
So
yeah,
that's all I got.
Small,
you got anything
okay.
else?
Well, this kind of goes back. This I'll keep it short because, like you said. But this goes back into your. It comes down to what do you want, right? It's a personal choice, which like you talked on, I think was last week or the week before.
Well, it was the episode we recorded last time,
yes.
but this is going to come out before that. So
exactly. So philosophy.
Actually,
right?
I could move it around.
No, philosophy, right? So like how can you find your wins? And I don't know if I stole this from somebody, so I may have, but well, no, it's a very common. It's be hungry, right?
Yeah.
When I was talking about last episode, there's some things I don't want to.
Barry's not being punny right now.
I am. I'm always punny, but so often in the last few years, I hear little phrases like I don't have motivation, I'm overstressed. Like the multiple things that actually are legit that come up, right? Because I deal with them. I know everyone deals with these things because my lazy butt deals with them. Or we have an internal monologue. Like we actually have a real, the argument within our brain or ourselves that we're trying to win. And it says, you are actually like, what, I've done okay with this. This is all right. You can slip back. You're owed this. I've done okay. It's an easy win. And that's when you honestly have to just really, really try to find a strength and just say, what, I'm trying to build towards something. And if I keep on having these little missteps, I'm not going to get there, right? One little misstep, maybe dominoes, and you just go flying off that path.
Yeah.
But
when you do fall off, it's not the end of the world.
No,
just acknowledge your slip.
You can't. Don't overstress.
And then
yourself.
get back on path.
The point that
it happens sometimes.
It does, but also every time if you make a habit of that.
Yeah, don't allow yourself to.
Don't beat yourself up.
Again.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. Do not overstress with it. So if you do f up, don't. It's just okay. I fucked up. But if next week you do it again, and then you do it again next week, or it becomes more frequent. So next week, and then a couple of days, and then one day. That's how it happens. So if you feel that coming on, just you have to, again, make a choice and say, okay, I'm not going to do that.
Regular cheat days, having a scheduled cheat day is bad.
Right. If it happens, okay, it happens.
Like, yeah, if it happens, like and today, I had Taco John's,
which he does more prior.
I do it. Getting better, but I do still do this a lot more than I have to.
Dude, potato lays,
or should.
Potatoes, bro.
Nope, I've been good on
tacos.
The Pringles.
The tacos.
Oh, the Olays.
Oh, the Olays.
No, I do the fried chicken tacos, the mini ones. Because they're like $2 a piece.
Yeah, you know what? Back in the day, back when me and Matt used to get the 6-pack in a pound, or me, Matt, and Dave.
Yeah,
I could knock down 3 of those things. That's
like a full 6-pack in a pound. Okay. I was gonna say if you got Davey in there, you've got like 5 or 6 of those things, and you're eating one yourself.
Yeah, no, we would. Yeah, but anyway, just go at those things. But yeah, tasty. But now it just tastes like trash. I actually tried because I wanted to try some Olays and see if they held up. So the Olays, the flavors, to me, if you have them that aren't like 10-day-old grease on them.
Yeah, if they're fresh.
Yeah, if they're fresh.
Yeah, good luck.
They're still money. Yeah, no shit. You want to use the grease from 10 weeks ago? Why are we going to use a new grease?
You can run a car on that grease. Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to convert the car over to process it, but.
Not diesel, though.
You have to process the grease to run on. Yes, you do. I know somebody who did it.
I know somebody who did it too. Corn oil too.
Anyway,
so yeah, just again, it really becomes part of your personal philosophy, and just if you have to really start saying, okay, this is what I want, and get after it. There's more to it, but I think I'm going to cut off because we are running late, like you said. And
I do want to hit one more point because a lot of the points in my other notes we've already beat to death. The best way to get your salt intake is to salt to taste.
What?
Salt to taste. So just sprinkle enough on your food.
Yeah.
Because again, your body knows how much you want.
Oh, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
And that will get you up to the levels that you want to be. And you can it will kind of slowly increase over time, especially if you're introducing it in certain ways.
There was a point I was going to say, that, again, to go along with the, going back to zero and having, when you get yourself, cleaned out and you're like, you start to reintroduce, or you're just starting over, and so you're starting to eat healthy stuff, you will notice your taste will change, and you'll become more, like the dirty sweet things become flipping real syrupy sweet almost. Mm-hmm. But salt and other natural, even like natural, like fruit, for example, will become sweeter, but they'll become also almost refreshing in a way.
Yeah.
And same with you put like salts or peppers on a salad or a steak. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah,
it's
because it's
way better.
The flavors.
Yes, it is a reintroduction.
What was the last? There was one more thing that I wanted to hit on real quick. Oh, iodine, because that's a big reason why a lot of people go to table salt, because it's got iodine.
Yes.
But iodine's not natural in salt. That salt has to be infused with it.
Did I add that? Did I say that? No, I didn't. I thought I said that when part of the things are in.
We kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, I think, but I don't think we really talked about it. Yeah. But the iodine has to be added, and a lot of times it's not natural iodine; it's synthetic.
Yes.
Not to say that that's necessarily bad, but there are better ways to get iodine. Some fish have them. God, I went through a list of stuff and I didn't notate it. But do your own research. We're not here to hold your hands, people.
We're here to help. Just kidding.
We'll talk about iodine at some point in the near future, maybe. At some point. So we'll get that list then. But iodine is found in a lot of things that you're going to want to consume. Yeah. Eggs is another great one.
Eggs is a big one. So a lot of people do with a healthy
sardines.
Diet. Yeah. I mean, fish oils have iodine naturally.
A lot of the things that we've recommended have all of this stuff that you need. That's part of the reason why we recommend it. Yeah. And maybe I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now.
I believe dark fruits. So prunes,
Dark grapes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, grapes. But yeah, seafood definitely.
Oh, seaweed. Seaweed
I'm gonna say
is a big
seaweed
one.
was the next
Seaweed's
one. It's
the
green.
biggest source
Yeah.
of iodine.
Yeah, green.
naturally.
Green. Or
And
heavy,
it's
dark.
something that I mean to add to my diet.
Yeah. Oh, a good one. Also, we don't all eat. So I do. So if you're old school, if you're depends on where you grew up. Liver and onions is an awesome thing where people grew up. I wasn't privy to that, but and liver is a hard thing to eat for some
I
people.
was.
What's your
did
opinion
grow
on
up.
liver?
I want to.
But
However, my access to it is the crappy processed stuff
yeah.
at the store.
yeah, I don't.
So
The farmer's market.
that might have to be an option in the future. Also getting my family to it. Also, I'm not sure where I land right now with it. Because last time I had it, I was starting to kind of like it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an acquired taste, but the healthier you eat, you do crave it almost. It's weird.
There's a lot of
But
iron
beer
in
is
it.
insane. Yeah, the iodine.
Iodine.
It is so. It's an insane. It's a superfood. It really is a superfood. So, one thing that what I do with it because it's hard for me to. It really.
But you can mix it with things like hamburger.
Yes,
and
I dice it up and mix it with my hamburger. So I mix it with spaghetti. I mix it with my tacos that I eat. I mix it with salad.
which is something else that I've considered doing.
Yeah, I mix it, or I go a old school way where I actually add salt or some seasoning to it, right? My own mix or whatever else, and then caramelize some onions. And so liver and onions is a delicious thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to find some stuff. I need to figure out a way to do sauerkraut. So that way other people will eat it. My editor.
You know?
Anyways,
Kimchi's not good enough, huh?
so that's our thoughts on salt. See the disclaimer below. Probably should have said that at the beginning.
Oh, salt directly affects blood pressure. We're not doctors.
We're just a couple of dudes. So all the social media stuff will be down below. We are going to start an Instagram.
Yeah.
So that way we can just kind of pop on and make a little video about random thoughts associated to this, or sometimes
get out there more.
there maybe we forget to hit a couple points in a conversation or
Follow-ups.
something.
Yeah.
Follow up things. So follow that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Probably mostly me, because Barry's a schlub.
Oh,
Shots fired.
man. Lane shots fired.
YouTube, Odyssey, all the major platforms for podcasts. You know how all that goes. Anything else?
Live long and prosper.
Be better than you were yesterday.
No.